everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Dan.
And Dan is here with me to talk about the Nintendo Switch. We got a bunch of information in the last couple days about the new Nintendo system. And Dan and I have done some videos speculating about what Nintendo is going to be like moving forward when they finally got to their new system. I want to say the last time we talked about it, it was still the NX. I don't even think we had the official name for it, even at E3. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I think the last time we talked about it, it was all just rumor territory stuff, and most of the rumors turned out to be true about it, as far as like what the system wants to be and things like that. So
the big thing was it's a video game console that doubles as a portable console, and that turned out to be 100% what it is. So what we want to do today is kind of go down the laundry list of details that we have about it and give you our opinions about it and a little bit of speculation about what we think is going to happen with the company moving forward and whether or not we think that this is a good move for them, because Dan and I have been somewhat critical of Nintendo the last couple of years with the way they've been handling things and with what their new hardware seemed like it was going to be, and of course they've rushed this out just 4 years after their last one, which I want to say is a record.
I think so too. I think the only other well, I don't think Nintendo has ever done this before. I remember like the 360 came about 4 years after the original Xbox, I believe.
Okay.
That's like the most recent example I can think of where it was that short of a gap between new generations of consoles.
But it's definitely a record for them.
Yes, definitely.
So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the console specs and talk about what we think of just the system itself so far. And then we're going to move into software, and then so just the games that we know about so far coming out. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the online, which looks potentially bizarre. We'll talk about that. And finally, and this could end up being the bulk of our conversation, I don't know, but the last thing we'll cover is just the basic business strategy of all of this. And as I said, whether or not Dan and I think that this is a good move for them. So the system itself is a little different than, now that I've gotten to see it in action, a little different than what I was visualizing, which is, I thought it was a thing that you just connected to your TV. I didn't realize it was going to have a dock. And, so, like, the fact that you can, like, dock it and then take it off and continue playing the game you're in the middle of that you were playing on your TV, that's kind of nice. But I really didn't think that it was going to serve as kind of its own little mini TV at the same time that has a stand on the back that you can put in front of multiple people and have several controllers and all play something around it. That's nice. I didn't know it was going to do that. I thought every person was going to have to, like a regular handheld system, own another system in order to do any multiplayer, and I appreciate that about it.
Yeah, I think for what it is, I think it's a very impressive looking piece of technology.
Yeah.
Nintendo systems often, they're like the initial launch version of whatever they put out, sometimes it's a little obtuse. Compared to some of like the revisions, especially with their handheld models.
Yeah.
I'm thinking specifically about like original Game Boy Advance and the original DS, which as we got revisions of those that they got a little bit more sleeker. The technology was much better. With the Game Boy Advance specifically added features that people have been asking for years, like with the backlight, with the Game Boy Advance SP and things like that. I think this thing looks like a very impressive looking piece of technology. It doesn't look like a toy like a lot of Nintendo's systems do, at least in their initial iteration. I do like that the feature of it. The controllers are potentially interesting. There's a lot of tech packed into the little Joy-Con controllers.
Yeah.
I'm going to be interested to see what they feel like in your hands. Like the guy on stage said they feel natural, which...
You're going to say that.
I'm guessing.
Of course you're going to say that. You're selling the thing. It does not... I mean, I don't want to jump immediately to criticisms because there's a lot of things I like about the look of it. It is real sleek. As you said, I like how small it is. We've gone back to the GameCube in that way, where we're trying to make something real compact. And we should talk about the whole thing. They did a big presentation live on... I think it was live, or maybe it was just...
It was live from Tokyo, yes.
And there was this big stage presentation, and they just talked about like was it the president of the company? And
I think it was the acting president of the company. Yes, since Iwata had passed away, he's kind of the acting president of the company at the moment.
And then
they did talk. I can't remember if it was him or one of the other people that went on stage, because it was kind of cool. There was a lot of new faces from Nintendo that we haven't seen give presentation stuff before on stage. So I don't remember all of their names off the top of my head, but they did, like you said, talk about how this is supposed to be an evolution of every piece of console technology they've made, handheld and home console technology. And the thing that you mentioned that we both thought was really funny was they touted the fact they put a handle in the back of the GameCube.
It's so funny. Well, I don't want to say they touted it up. They were almost making fun of themselves about it. I thought it was funny that they even drew attention to that, where they were like, apparently we weren't quite there yet. And I thought that was really funny. Where it was like, well, actually, maybe they're not making fun of themselves. Maybe they're saying they were ahead of their time for putting a handle on the back of a console that goes into a TV. I thought that was really funny. They're like, look, we were already in the early 2000s trying to get people to take their console with them. Well, yeah, sure. Like, overnight to a hotel room, but like... It's a handle. It's not a big innovation. Anyway, but that was hilarious. But yeah, so they talk about how their idea with this is it's supposed to be the DNA of every Nintendo system going all the way back, and it was a compelling argument. It certainly is. I mean, I agree with that. That it has. It looks like the culmination of everything they've been doing, and kind of. And what's fascinating about that is I don't know if it's going to actually be successful in the long run. To them, it is the culmination. It's like, in a way, it's like what they feel like they always wanted. If it ever occurred to them that it would be good to have a one-stop shop for their video games, a thing that you can play as a console and also take with you. The big question for me, of course, is doesn't that make any other handheld stuff they do redundant, and why even continue the 3DS at all? That's kind of my big question with the console being a thing you can take with you. But the thing for me, once I saw all the stuff that it does, is it feels like what the Wii U should have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with you. This has a bigger screen than the Wii U does. It has a better quality screen. It's also a touchscreen like the Wii U gamepad is, and it's not limited to just your living room. A lot of people, when they saw the Wii U tablet controller, they thought, oh, maybe I'll be able to take this anywhere I go, but that wasn't the case. The battery life was kind of abysmal. This thing doesn't have the greatest battery life, but there is hope, because Nintendo said that you can remove the rechargeable battery that comes with it, and I would assume that third parties are probably going to be able to come up with batteries that have a longer lasting battery life for this. It's just that in the initial package for $300, you're not getting one that will last more than, I think, 3 hours when you play a AAA game like Zelda on it.
Yeah. They said anywhere between 2.5 and 6.
Yes, so I would assume 6 hours is for, like, if you're playing a Super Nintendo or NES game on it, if you're playing, like, a virtual console game that doesn't push the hardware of the system very hard. But if you're playing Zelda, I would imagine you're going to get,
or if you just turn it on and leave it there and do nothing with it. That's probably how you get to 6 hours.
Yeah. So, there is some potential there. I think that a lot of the tech they packed into the Joy-Cons are very impressive. I'm not sure that all of the features are things people asked for, but I think the controllers are potentially interesting. The HG Rumble thing and the way that they pitched it was kind of hilarious, because it was like some guy like saying that like he could feel ice cubes in a glass and water being poured at it with the rumble, basically conveying that the rumble feature is so subtle that you can feel like ripples of water in the rumble feature on the controller, which is really cool. I'm interested to see like how that will be implemented in gameplay, if at all, by people that make games for it. I think Rumble is a cool feature. I didn't necessarily need Rumble that makes it feel like there's ripples of water on my controller or anything.
But innovating that is kind of cool. That you have subtleties in what it did, that it's not just vibrating, that it's like different kinds of subtle vibrations. There is an arcade machine that they just put out that I got to play a couple times in the last couple weeks. I don't know if you know about this, but they have put out a Luigi's Mansion arcade machine.
That's awesome. I love those games.
And it's great.
I need to play that.
At exactly the same time, it came out last year, and a Ghostbusters FPS came out. And the Luigi's Mansion game, it is a, or I said FPS, it's a rail shooter. And they're both rail shooters. The Luigi's Mansion game, for my money, is a better Ghostbusters rail shooter than the Ghostbusters game.
That's awesome.
And I bring it up because something so you're like a rail shooter. You're aiming kind of a gun at ghosts, except it's not a gun; it's a vacuum cleaner because it's Luigi's Mansion.
Right. It's the Poltergeist 3000. Yeah.
Yes, and is that what it's called?
Yeah.
See, what's funny is I've actually never played Luigi's Mansion. I've only played this rail shooter.
Those games are great. I love the one.
I want to.
DS.
I just have not. I just have never gotten to it. So anyway, you're aiming this thing at ghosts, and you suck them in. And sometimes, just like with a proton wand with Ghostbusters, you have to like move it one direction or the other and like force it around. And you press a button to suck it in, right? Well, it's also got a coin system because it's supposed to be a Mario game. So you can also aim your vacuum cleaner to suck in coins, and whenever you do that, it rumbles in such a way where it feels like you actually got a coin in it. Like, it's a really specific kind of rumble. They clearly have been working on this, and I bet that technology is whatever it is they've been working on for that. For the Switch.
I have noticed, I don't know if the PS4 controller is like this, but the Xbox One controller specifically has a much better rumble than I experienced in like the 360 and like the PS3 Wii generation rumble controllers. So all the companies in general have made that feature better, which is great. I'm going to be interested to see if how substantial an improvement it is. If it is as substantial as the way they're pitching it as. I mean, I haven't had hands-on with the thing yet. It is pretty cool. It also has like a motion detector thing. Like they touted up the fact that you can play rock paper scissors shoot with it, which is weird because you don't need a video game console to play that game.
No, you don't. Here, we'll do it for you right now. Dan and I will do it for you right now. You ready, Dan? Here we go. Here we go. You ready? Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. You win, and there's a lag, but we didn't need a switch. That's the point we're making.
Exactly. So I think that, jokes aside, that feature could be used in an interesting way. There also are motion, like the Wii Motion Plus controllers, they're like motion controllers, so they will sense like your movement and stuff. They did show off a couple of titles that implement that feature specifically. So, I mean, there's a lot of cool technology packed in there. I just worry a little bit about the price of some of the accessories and stuff, and the fact that the system is priced competitively with the other systems, but their base models are much more powerful than the Switch at this point. I mean, we saw Skyrim running on this thing, and Todd Howard came out and talked about like putting Skyrim on the Switch and how it was exciting for him. This is a 6-year-old game. They just released an HD remaster of the game on Xbox One and PS4. The Switch can't run the version that's on the PS4 and the Xbox One. It's a lower scale version of Skyrim. This game's 6 years old. It's not any lower scale than the PS3 and the 360 one. It's sort of in between the PS3 and 360 version and what we get on Xbox One and PS4. So we don't know the exact like internal tech specs for it yet, but we do know that it's just not as powerful as those two systems, and it's $300. So it'll be interesting to see in terms of how it carves out a place for itself in the marketplace, if it's able to, because it's such a unique idea. Nothing like this has really been attempted or done before. Whether or not the power will really matter all that much to people, whether or not it appeals to a different demographic of people than the Xbox One and the PS4.
And that's the big question, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later when we talk about the business side of it, but one of the big questions is, what is ultimately going to be the demographic for this? The target demographic is everybody. It's trying really hard to be accessible to every kind of player. Right out the gate, it sure looks like they're putting all their eggs once again in the in the basket of casual players, right? But
at the very least, trying to expand the base of people that think that video games is a hobby. I think Nintendo sees the mobile space. I mean, they've been aggressively kind of pursuing mobile as a new aspect of their business. Like we had Pokemon Go and now Super Mario Run. I would imagine they're going to put out more games because they partnered with that mobile developer DNA. So I think they're trying to get people that play games on their mobile devices to buy this and use it as sort of a supplementary thing. When we talk about the online, we'll get more into it, but you do have to use your smart device to do some of the features that this has on it, which is kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of what they're trying, like with the Wii, to have a wider tent than what the Xbox One and PS4, what their target demographics are, which is kind of like the hardcore gamers.
Yeah, well, and if they wanted to target that harder, I think they could have still had their cake and eaten to even farther by just having the tech specifications be up to spec currently with next gen. When you and I were talking about this earlier, you said that that's because, unlike the other two companies, they try to make a more hefty profit on their systems, so they go for lower specs so that they can make them at lower cost. But they're trying to be all things to all people, and the question is who's going to end up getting lost in the shuffle. So they're going to charge for online now. They're trying to get hardcore gamers in with some of the titles that are coming out, just like they did with the Wii U. But they are not making a system that can replace your Xbox or your PlayStation 4 if you are that kind of a gamer, because they're still not going to have that third-party support. So my big question is the casual gaming market going to be big enough for them now, given how many of those people have moved to phones and to Facebook games and that kind of thing? It's because it's going to have to, because this thing is just not going to appeal enough to gamers that already have those other systems. Some people will simply not have both, and you would have to have both. That's what I think. I think some of those features are going to fall by the wayside potentially. It's where they'll be there, but people won't be using them. It has so many different kinds of ways to play. I think some of them are likely to just not be used that much. It's kind of like the PlayStation Move, where nobody bought it. So with this thing, like
the Wii U tablet with its gyro motion controls and stuff, how many games do you have that use that? Not very many.
Yeah, and the only one that anybody really uses it for is Splatoon, and you can turn that feature off, I think.
And Star Fox was one of the games that forced you to use it, and people hated it.
People hated it.
Were garbage. Yeah.
Yeah. So with their little side controllers, is anybody going to actually do motion control with those? It's in there. They can do it. Are they going to make enough games that utilize that? Because it looks like it's primarily... I don't know. I just don't think they're going to make enough games. They're potentially not going to make enough games that will even use that, Dan.
Well, it's a very. I think this is a good segue into the software aspect of this, because I think this is kind of.
Well, hold on, because there's something I got to say about the Joy-Cons, which is there's no way that's natural. We were talking about the word natural. There's no way. You flip it around like a Wii remote when you're playing like side-scrolling Mario or something, and your hands are like this. That's preposterous. Nobody's going to want to play like that. I don't know why they did that. So I said it's cool that you can, like when you're on the go, have several people crowd around it, but you better have pro controllers, because that's going to be obnoxious. I'm glad they still got pro controllers, but that's the thing, is they've got three kinds of controllers, basically, and two of them double up. So you have the little Joy-Cons. They said share the joy.
To make it a full controller when you're playing by yourself.
And you can make that a full. Yeah, they said when you pass it around to people, they like to say share the joy. That's just silly. Anyway, but yeah, and so you can also put that on the side of the thing, but now it's just a Wii U gamepad that you can take with you, and then there's also a pro controller. So. If that is as obnoxious as it looks like it is to me, you still basically only have one controller. They touted up, look, you get two controllers with the thing. Well, yeah, sort of, kind of, unless that sucks and I don't want to use it. Because the other thing, Dan, is, did you notice the really super tiny pad on it, the joypad?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was actually a D-pad or not.
It looked like a D-pad? They didn't talk about it.
On the side of them, because the right and left Joy-Cons are different controllers and have different buttons.
Mm-hmm. And they're still acting like they're two separate controllers. That's weird.
I suppose the face buttons on one are just labeled differently on the other one. That's really the big difference between them.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I think it's likely that they're not going. I wouldn't prefer to play that way, but just not having hands-on with them, I can't say whether or not it is or not. We'll see. I want to.
Okay, but there's one thing that is indisputable. I am going to criticize this. There's one thing that I think is indisputable on it, and that's why I brought up the D-pad, which is you don't want to put, most of us anyway, don't want to play side-scrolling platformers with a stick and to go sideways like that. You would have to. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Which means you have to have a pro controller or play one player. That like.
True. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But I wanted to bring that up before you moved on, because that was my first reaction to those was, you can't make me flip that to the side and play a stick with games that, especially since they're making a big deal out of Virtual Console.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so they want you to play old games on it.
That's another thing about the online service, which is interesting, we'll talk about, because Virtual Console is a big part of that.
Yeah.
So software-wise, I think it's very interesting. You mentioned the casual gamer, we were talking about the casual gamer, like, wide tent thing, and this software strategy approach for the launch, I think, is very similar to what they tried to do with the Wii when they launched that. They're launching with what is obsessive, like the two big Nintendo releases, and all the other stuff is kind of not really all that substantial to me. They're launching with Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild and 1-2 Switch. Those are the two big Nintendo games, just like Wii Sports and Twilight Princess launched with the Wii. It's almost the same exact strategy. They're launching with a Zelda game and then a tech demo for what the technology in the system can do. And then we've got like Super Bomberman R, which I'm not really all that interested in. Skylanders Imaginators, I'm not interested in at all. And Just Dance, which I'm not interested in at all. Those are the games that we're launching with on March 3rd. I'm going to buy a Switch. I don't know if I'm going to buy one day one because it's very soon, and I don't have an extra $300 laying around at the moment. I don't, and I would imagine Nintendo's going to do that annoying artificial sparsity thing that they do with all their consoles.
They're not going to put out enough
demand, so that makes it a hot item, and everyone's looking for one and stuff like that. They did that with the NES Classic, weirdly enough. Nobody could get their hands on that when they had scalpers on eBay and stuff. But anyway,
and that makes it look like people want it more than they do. I had an argument with Eric the other day. Sorry, this is the thing I wanted to talk about. I had an argument with Eric the other day because he works at a retail store, and he was like, "Well, I don't know. People are talking up the Switch, and it seems like it's gonna be really hot." And I'm like, in a store, you won't be able to tell because it will sell out no matter how excited people are about it. Mm-hmm. You won't be able to tell long term from being in a store and talking to the people that are there and want one. Right?
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they handle it. I would imagine they're going to do the artificial scarcity thing. With the Wii U, there was sort of an artificial scarcity with that thing, and it sold really well, like the first weekend, and then it just dropped off a cliff, and you could find them everywhere.
And this could be that way, but I don't know for sure yet. It's hard to tell.
It could be that way. So I think over the course of the first year it's on the market, we'll probably be able to tell. If it has a sustainable sale where everyone's excited about it and you can't find it anywhere in the first year, especially in the holiday when Mario launches, if that doesn't get delayed, which that remains to be seen. We will see. But I think the software lineup for launch is not very good.
It's bad.
It's pretty bad, especially since I'm a Wii U owner, and I really want to play Zelda. I can get it on my Wii U. It's going to be the exact same game. There aren't going to be all that many. There's not going to be any new features besides the fact that I can play it portably. And to be honest, I don't play video games portably.
Me neither.
A whole lot. So that feature doesn't really appeal to me. I know that it appeals to a lot of other people that travel a lot and stuff, but for me personally, when I play video games, I want to be sitting down at my home relaxing. That's my time when I play video games. So I'm probably just going to buy Zelda on the Wii U and wait till Mario launches to get a Switch in the holiday if they're available.
I didn't know they were putting that out on the Wii U.
Yes, they are, because that was supposed to be the big Zelda release for the Wii U, and like Twilight Princess, they pushed it back. Because Twilight Princess was supposed to be one of the last games on GameCube, and then they pushed the Wii version that was kind of inverted, and they came out, I think, a couple weeks away from each other. The Wii version launched.
So it is the exact same thing then.
It's the exact same strategy. So they're banking on the fact that this Zelda game is going to be huge and it's going to sell systems. Twilight Princess was the best-selling Zelda game ever. Zelda is a really popular franchise. It's synonymous with gaming for a lot of people that are hardcore gamers. Zelda historically does not move systems. Mario is the thing that moves systems. I think that this system, in terms of the software lineup, should have been launched later. I think they should have launched with Zelda and Mario simultaneously.
Yeah.
I think Mario is the game that's going to sell this thing. Now, there is a compelling case to be made that after, when holiday rolls around, they will have Zelda, Mario, Mario Kart Deluxe, and I don't know if Smash is supposed to come out during that time frame either. I think it is. I don't know off the top of my head, and it's not on the list I have in front of me, but if they have those 4 games on the system for holiday, I think that's a compelling package for people that don't already have a Wii U, that skipped over it, and they said, I'm going to skip that one because it didn't look like at any point in time that system was getting a lot of support. In the first year, that's a compelling lineup of games for the first year of the system to launch, especially the Nintendo system, because those are like the 4 titles that everyone buys Nintendo systems for, right?
Right.
Like the big Mario platformer, and this is a real like 3D next generation Mario platformer. This isn't Super Mario 3D World or anything like that. This is like the new iteration, the innovative Mario like Galaxy 64.
Yeah. And I want to spend some time talking about that trailer here in a second. Yes. But we could have milked this and done a separate video on that, but we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about it here. But the you mentioned 2 or 3 things I want to jump onto.
Sure.
With Zelda, you say that traditionally it doesn't move systems. I would argue that it's not going to move systems at all if they put it on both. There will be people, like, I didn't know it was going to be on the Wii U. That is even crazier strategy in my opinion. If you couldn't get it that way, it would make Nintendo users that have already been sticking with them immediately buy a Switch. But you might have a few stragglers left over that haven't bothered with Wii U this entire time, but I would say that most of the people that want that game probably and again have stuck around with Nintendo. They play either Mario Kart or Smash, and they have a Wii U and they have them for those games. And so like, I don't know, maybe I guess you could argue that, well, they have been sticking with Nintendo, so they're going to buy a Switch anyway, and maybe they'll buy it right now. But if there's no difference in the graphics and stuff, I can see somebody buying that on the Wii U, and then just waiting until more of those titles on the Switch come out that they care about. It is, overall, I think they're rushing this, and it is preposterous that they didn't wait until they had that Mario game done. Because no matter what that system looks like, that would move systems. That game looks like Galaxy on steroids, and it's gonna potentially be huge if it's good. So I don't know what they're thinking there. And they never launch with Mario anymore. Not with a new innovative Mario game. Like the Wii U with side-scrolling Mario that we had with DS and Wii into Wii U does not count. It's just more levels for basically the exact same game and engine. They don't launch with Mario anymore. What are they doing? That was a lot of why Super Nintendo was so big.
Yeah, I agree, and I do think that there are people potentially that are excited about the Switch that didn't buy a Wii U that would buy it to play Zelda among other things. And I think it is smart to at least have Zelda there for the people that didn't buy a Wii U that want to play it. Because at this point it's like, do I drop, whatever the price of the Wii U is right now and get Zelda on that and buy ostensibly a dead system with like no support in a really insubstantial library, or buy the new system with Zelda on it when I'm going to be able to play Odyssey on that when it comes out, as well as all of the new versions of the games on Wii U that I really wanted to play in the first place. I think for a lot of people that could be compelling, that people that didn't buy a Wii U, if the system's gimmick is compelling to them. That's the thing.
I just don't think there are that many of those people. I kind of appreciate
you, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I know you're kind of playing devil's advocate. I kind of appreciate that they are putting that on the Wii U, since it was supposed to be there in the first place. That's actually nice of them. At the same time, it just in a strategy side again, if they hadn't done that, they would have moved more systems.
I think so too, but I think a lot of the people on Wii U potentially might have felt burned because the Wii U at this point didn't get a major Mario release or a major Zelda release, and those are like, I mean, that's what I buy Nintendo systems for. I'm a gigantic
right, but now it's going to be the exact same game that's on the next system, so you still didn't get one, really.
Well, it was designed for the ground up for the Wii. It was supposed to be that.
But that only counts if they ultimately put out another Zelda game on this system. They have to do that down the road.
And they will, eventually. like with the Wii, we got Twilight Princess to launch, and then about 4 or 5 years later, we got Skyward Sword.
Right.
So I would imagine Switch will get its own Zelda game built from the ground up if it's successful and it doesn't become like the Dreamcast of Nintendo. We will see. But I think that what the game lineup that we have here, it's really disappointing. Like the level of third-party support. In the first-party Nintendo games, like there were rumors we were going to get like a Metroid and stuff, and maybe they're saving some of the reveals for E3, but the reveals that would compel people to buy one of these things at launch, they had to have already put in front of us. The only stuff that they might be holding up their sleeve is going to be even farther down the line than the end of 2017 when it comes out. Like Retro Studios, for example, the people that made the Donkey Kong Country Returns games and the Metroid Prime games, both phenomenal series of games, love both of them. I would be happy to see them continue on either series. We don't know what they've been working on since they finished Tropical Freeze, and it's been a number of years since then. So I would imagine they have a project up their sleeve that they're going to release on the Switch we don't know about, but I don't think it's going to be a 2017 release at the same time. So, I mean, the third-party games that we have here, none of them really interest me that much besides Sonic Mania, and
you can get that on anything.
That's gonna be on Xbox, so I can play it there potentially anyway. A lot of people were kind of excited about Bomberman. That's not really my kind of thing. There were some Japanese role-playing games that were announced from like Square Enix, excuse me. Squaresoft is their old name from like Super Nintendo days. I said that. The game looks like a Super Nintendo game, that's why I said that. And then Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I'm more of a Western role-playing game fan. I don't really care for the Japanese role-playing games as much, so I'm not compelled to buy those games. Splatoon 2 looks really cool. That's, of course, a first-party game from Nintendo, but again, that's not coming out till the summer. I think they should have at least had two big Nintendo substantial games like 1-2 Switch. You don't even look at a screen to play this game.
That's not going to sell systems.
It's not even really a video game.
That is their Wii Sports. That is Wii U's whatever their thing was. They had, what was that? I'm sorry. That's right. Nintendo Land. Yeah, it's that thing. And at the very least, it ought to come with a system. It's ridiculous you have to buy that separately. And we haven't talked about price point and stuff, which we should have talked about with the console specs. But the big deal breaker for a lot of people, of course, is going to be that price point. And with everything we know about with this thing, if it was $2 or even $250, they would already be in better shape, I think. At $300, it needs to come with a game. It is preposterous that it doesn't come with something.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see if there are retailer-exclusive bundles, but I would imagine, even if there are, they're going to be more than $300. I would imagine that if GameStop or Best Buy or whatever retailer has a bundle that's exclusive with a packing game, it's going to be more than $300.
The game won't be free,
When I buy my Switch, if I don't end up playing Zelda on my Wii U, I haven't really decided what I want to do yet, because the only difference between the two versions of the game is that the one on Switch will probably run at a higher resolution. It'll have a little bit more graphical fidelity, but the game is such a stylized, cel-shaded thing anyway that I don't really care all that much.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would buy a Switch bundle with Zelda packed in, but I think they're banking on that being the big thing that people go out and buy with the system so they can make a little bit more money. The weird thing about 1-2 Switch to me is the trailer for that. You mentioned this, and I can kind of see where you're coming from. You didn't even really know what the game was after watching the trailer for it. I mean,
I sort of get it. But they're not even showing you what's on the screen. I get that you're not supposed to look at it, but you can tell from there's these back-off shots where it's in between people on a table, and there's something going on the screen, but they won't show it to you. And so, and then in the present, you called it the worst trailer of all time.
It's terrible.
In the presentation, you just stand there and watch for a minute and a half. Two people in a really stereotypical Western shootout just standing there. You know what's going to happen. You know they're going to be holding those controllers, and then they show people doing all kinds of really random and a lot of them mundane things, like shaving.
Yeah. There's people dressed up in like clown costumes and people like whipping out their Switch at like nightclubs. I hate to break it to you, Nintendo. None of the people that designed this game have ever been to a nightclub. No one is going to play this at a nightclub.
No one's going to play, especially that. Yeah, and then in the presentation, Dan, I used to make fun of the Wii, where I would say things like "coming soon," Wii shaving. Like I would say things like that, and now they just put it in there. You're like Wii trying on clothes. Like any mundane thing you can imagine might end up being in that game. And in the presentation, they made a big deal out of you don't look at a screen, you just look into each other's eyes, and I'm sure it's all about the Rumble Pack. Like,
the big example they had at the beginning was two people that looked like they were out of a Clint Eastwood Western kind of movie, doing the quick draw thing, and the screen presumably times who's able to draw their Joy-Con and press the button faster, which is supposed to be the trigger, and that's the person who wins. So I'd imagine the screen is going to have very simple, timers and things like that on it.
Yeah.
For people that might be interested in that kind of thing, I haven't talked to anyone who is interested in playing that game at all. Maybe it's just in the circles I run in. Most of the people that I talk to like much more substantial game experiences. Maybe that will appeal to people. I don't know. I have a feeling it won't. To be clear, too, we talked about Mario and Zelda briefly, but I can't underestimate how incredible both those games look. The Zelda trailer that they showed at the end of the Switch presentation is it looks like everything I've ever wanted a Zelda game to be. It looks like, just like the Switch is the culmination of every piece of Nintendo technology that's ever been made, this game looks like the culmination of every Zelda game that's ever been designed and made. It looks like the best Zelda. It looks like the granddaddy of adventure games coming back with a vengeance. It looks so ambitious. I'm so excited about it.
Well, it's a good thing they waited on it. Ultimately, probably, I'm sure.
I agree too. I can't wait to play that game. It's my favorite game series of all time. So I'm very, very excited.
It's
about
not
that.
actually a Switch game, so we can't we can't really praise the tactics they're using with the Switch. With that,
right. I'm just saying Zelda and Mario look incredible, and a lot of the other games didn't appeal to me, but it was very clear to me, even with the games that didn't appeal to me, they clearly are releasing this too early in the sense that they had a guy come up on stage. I think he was the director or someone involved in the two No More Heroes games on Wii. I don't know if you ever played those. They were the games where you play that guy that has the lightsaber looking thing and you fight people.
Yeah.
It was a really critically acclaimed game, really fun. I didn't play through both of them in full. I played a little bit of them, and I liked what I played. The guy came on stage and showed concept art for a game he's just started working on last week.
Oh no!
They're
not ready.
The software lineup is not ready. I think the tech is very well developed, ready to go. Most of the stuff that they have releasing first party wise seems like stuff that was going to be Wii U games, but the life of that system didn't sell well, so they're kind of porting it over. I would imagine Odyssey was supposed to be the Wii U's big Mario game.
Yeah.
And they're just putting it on the Switch now. Because
it's only been 4 years. They had another couple of years of life for the Wii U if it hadn't tanked so hard. My big thing is, I guess we're already talking strategy. I guess we're just integrating this. But
Sure.
But Dan, they need to acknowledge that the Wii U wasn't successful. That's the thing. It's obvious why this is happening, and I feel like their attitude is let's not address the elephant in the room at all and pretend like we just have this new really cool innovative system we came up with and we're already ready to put it out. That's how they're treating it. It's kind of, I know I compare everything to this, it's kind of New 52-ish in that way a little bit, except that I didn't think that company was in as bad a shape as they pretended like they were when they put that book out. So when they put New 52 out. So maybe that's not a good comparison. But the way to address that and to say, we're going to take a big risk and move forward, and we heard you didn't like what we were doing, we're going to go a different direction. And I would argue this isn't really a different direction. It's kind of just the Wii U. It really is the next step of that. But Dan, the way to have done that would have been to just put it at a cheaper price point. And they won't do that. They are just too proud, and that might hurt them.
It's going to be. I don't know obviously the ins and out of like how much money it costs to produce the Switch as a piece of technology, because I don't even know what the internal specs of the console are yet. But the way that Microsoft and Sony do their business is they have razor thin margins of profit on the actual consoles themselves that they sell, or they sell them at a loss, and they make most of their money on software sales and the online fees that they charge people monthly. I don't know if Nintendo is doing that same strategy with the Switch. I don't know if they can afford to after how hard the Wii U failed. I mean, the 3DS is selling relatively well for what it is. I mean, it's in a diminishing market. It's selling really well in the state of the market that it is right now, but it's not even getting close to lifetime DS numbers because mobile gaming has ate into the dedicated gaming handheld market so hard, which is another thing that could potentially worry me about this too. Like, they're touting this up as a portable gaming system. Well, how many people even want a portable gaming system anymore when they're all using their smart devices to play games? And this system makes you use your mobile device, smart device, in order to chat with people and invite people in the online service in the first place. So you need a different device in order to make this thing a fully featured device in the first place compared to the other systems.
To be fair, that's ambiguous so far. We know that there's something with that, but we don't know if that's the only way you can do. They haven't come out and said yet if you can actually.
They have said that the app allows you to chat and invite friends. Like, that is the purpose of the application on the smart device.
No, I get that, but all I'm saying is that is probably going to be the only way to do it. But all I'm saying is they have not come out and said yet that there definitely will not be a way to do it inside the system.
Yeah, I would imagine that the reasoning behind that, if that is the case, where it is...
I don't know why you'd have an app if it was in there, but...
yeah, I would imagine they're doing that to save battery life on the portable end. Like, if you want to play online multiplayer with your friends, like, say you have a two-player Mario Kart game, two people playing Mario Kart and you're on the go, and you want to play online and there's a Wi-Fi connection available, you put it on the table and use the app to communicate with other people that you're playing with, because that would the Switch would last like 45 minutes with the charge if it's having to connect to Wi-Fi, two controllers, and also support a mic to hook up and stuff. All, like you said, all of that is ambiguous, how the mic is going to connect to the system and stuff.
Yeah.
At this point, we don't really know. And the details of the online service, they said, will be revealed later. The only thing we know about it right now is that every month for the paid service, you get access to a free NES or SNES game for that month, and then your access to it goes away and you have to buy it. It's a glorified rental service. But I think it's strange because Microsoft and Sony offer free games every month and substantial discounts on games for your subscription, in addition to the ability to play online and things.
You might as well not have perks at all. Because all that's going to do is annoy people.
More perks, we don't know, but as it stands right now, it doesn't sound like...
it being Nintendo, I'll be real surprised if there's anything, and if it's more substantial than that. Yeah, that's... I don't know. For my money, that's kind of pathetic. And I'm saying that because we know their online... I mean, their online has never been great. And the one big selling feature for their online has always been that it's free. It's a lot easier to deal with subpar online when everybody else is charging. I mean, I was a little annoyed when PlayStation started charging. They didn't used to either. Now they're all three going to do it, and Nintendo is probably going to make you use a phone in order to talk to people. And I don't know, for my part, I won't pay for their online because I don't use it enough, just me personally. And that's where I'm saying that they're trying to... They're a little bit confused in who they think this is going to buy the system, or most, like who it's going to most appeal to, because paying for online is something that only big, deep gamers do. You're not gonna get people who casually play Mario Kart to pay for online. Furthermore, it remains to be seen if they're going to offer enough games that are going to be worth your while to play online multiplayer, given that Nintendo has always remained, even as every other system has gone the way of online multiplayer, still a big couch co-op system. Like, that's people still do that more on Nintendo than they go online with Nintendo. They should not be charging for online. That does not make any sense to me. Until we see what some of their games are. I guess it could make sense later. Right now, that sounds really silly to me.
I think
sounds like a big misstep.
The addition of Splatoon 2 into the lineup is a very compelling reason to make a paid online service that's much better than the Wii U, because that is a game that is an arena online shooting video game. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed like Overwatch or something like Team Fortress 2. Like it's almost like Battlefront. It does have a single player component that's really skimpy and short. The game is primarily a multiplayer experience. So, and Splatoon is a really great game. I love that game. I don't play it as much as some of the other stuff because nobody I know has a Wii U, and the online, like there's friend codes and stuff. It's their online service is not very good in that regard, like communicating with people. And I think that adding voice communication to that game will make it more competitive, and if the system catches on, it will make that game more of a live, a living, breathing community like some of the other games like Halo and Call of Duty and Battlefield and all those kind of games are. But it remains to be seen. I think one of the things that really struck me about this in terms of the online service and some of their software lineup is Nintendo needs to, I think, stop relying so much on the nostalgia stuff. Like, I love Nintendo. I have nostalgia for them. They're doing this online rental service. But at the same time, like, if you're a Street Fighter gamer, for example, you love Street Fighter, that's your favorite thing. You look at the Nintendo Switch and you say, okay, $300, I can get a port of Street Fighter 2, a game that came out in the 90s for the Super Nintendo with a few new characters, or I can buy a PS4 for less money and get Street Fighter 5, which is an exclusive to that system. Like, I think the reliance on an enhanced version of Street Fighter 2 isn't going to sell systems to anybody. Like, everyone who wants to play that game has already played it, you know?
And yeah, the graphics look really cool. They're trying to make it look like you're playing an anime, but I don't know, and I don't know how much deeper than the original Street Fighter 2 that is. If it's a Street Fighter 2 in aesthetic alone, but it's a much larger game, I can kind of see it. I don't think we really know how big that game's going to be, but I'm with you. It's not likely to sell systems.
I
also think it's cool that you can go back and forth between the graphics. I don't know if you saw that, but that's kind of neat.
It is kind of cool. I just think that Nintendo needs to be able to kind of like they've been playing catch up since really the end of the N64's life cycle. Like I think they're a little out of touch with like what kind of games their audience really wants to play. You know, like, don't get me wrong. Like I feel like I'm coming off negative on the thing in general. I think it's a very compelling piece of technology. I want it to succeed. I want nothing more than Nintendo to succeed because they are my favorite company in the industry. I think Nintendo, being a healthy and lively company, is very good for the industry. They've innovated in a lot of ways in hardware and software. I don't understand the strategy.
Me neither. And I'm with you. I think the system looks really cool in a lot of ways. I was not excited about it.
Just to be clear, I'm going to buy it.
Me too.
But I just don't know in a larger market sense if it's going to be successful. That's
what
worries me about.
I mean, I want one. I didn't want one before today. I had to see their presentation before I was as interested in it. Here's the thing. I like the Wii U. I'm a big proponent for that system. I think it's quite good. There's stuff I don't like about it. I complain about this every time we bring it up. But I don't like that you can't get a second gamepad and that you can't have two running on the same system. That's stupid. You should have been allowed to buy, even if it's $100. You should be able to hook up a second one to a system because it's a better controller than Wii remotes and even the Pro controller. I just like it as a controller. You should be able to have two. But anyway, so I like this as an evolution of the Wii U, but I'm concerned that it's not gonna it's not gonna appeal to as many people as they think, and that it's not gonna have longevity. You said they've been playing catch up all these years. I'd argue that they haven't been catching. The problem is that they've never caught up.
Well, yeah, it's like an incremental thing. Like, they're behind and they catch up a little bit. Like, they put out a console with HD graphics in 2012. Like, they are just learning how to develop games in the HD space, which, like, Microsoft and Sony are moving on to 4K gaming, you know? Like, I mean, it just troubles me. I really hope that this succeeds because I don't want to see Nintendo go the way of Sega, where they get out of the hardware business and it hurts the company so much that their software development suffers and eventually all of their games are garbage and we don't get anything besides Mario in a subpar fashion every couple of years until the franchise is dead and no one wants to play it anymore, like what happened with Sonic. I don't think Nintendo is in that dire straits of a situation.
No, but they could be.
After this, they could be. I think the people in Nintendo in general, like the development talent they have there, is a little bit more substantial than what Sega had at the time when they went down.
Oh, like, no, it's a lot more substantial. It's far more substantial.
I think that a lot of... What's that? Sorry.
No, it's far more substantial. Yes. Because they had two failed systems in a row. They made the mistake with the Saturn of not having a Sonic game on it, and then the Dreamcast ended up costing too much, and they couldn't get enough people to develop for it, and so it fell apart real fast. Nintendo's not anywhere near that yet.
Exactly. So I think,
and they've at least still had handheld being successful this whole time.
Yes, that's very true. So I think it's the thing about about the Switch that I really admire is that it's a gigantic risk. It is trying to carve out a place in the gaming marketplace that doesn't exist. It is trying to be a hybrid between what is ostensibly a dying market in the handheld market and the home console market, which is very vibrant. It's trying to be in between those two things. This has never been tried before. I really want it to succeed because I think it's a really cool idea, and I think it could appeal to a lot of people. I think the key is just the software library.
Me too.
If this thing has a substantial software library, and it doesn't necessarily even need to have the same software library. Like the three people own 3DSs and Xbox Ones for different reasons because there's vastly different types of games on both systems, right?
Sure.
The Switch could be like that, where there are enough really great games in a great number that you want to play on this that you have as a secondary system.
That's true, but I gotta ask you this question.
Sure.
Why not try to compete on that level? Why not put out a system that does everything this does and also can replace your Xbox and your PS4? I do not understand that.
I think that Nintendo
why not
want to put out a product that costs $600. I think that's why.
How much does the Xbox and PS4 go for right now? I know my PS4 was $400.
I think the base PS4 bundle, for the model that's the slim that comes with Uncharted 4, I think it's either $250 or $300, and the base Xbox One model is $299. So they are around the same price, if not a little bit cheaper in the case of the PS4 Slim, I believe. I think the Uncharted 4 Slim bundle is $249, but I'm not sure. It's either $249 or $299. So
I just think I just think that it might be too much of a leap, Dan, to assume that just because it had the graphics capabilities and you could and more third parties could develop for it, that would automatically double its price. I mean, yeah, if they tried to build in a Blu-ray player and an ice cream maker and a phone,
that's what I mean. You said
then that's a problem. But
replace an Xbox, it needs to have all the features plus the portable feature, and that would make it a very costly piece of thing.
It can. Okay, yes, you're absolutely right. However, it could come close to replacing it or replace it for people who only bought their system to play games. If at least all the third-party stuff that's on both Xbox and PS4 could be put on it, and just because it's a thing you can take with you doesn't necessarily mean that they couldn't have built it that way. And I don't think they didn't do it because the technology isn't there. I think they did it for the same reason that they've gone back to cartridges and that they have never gone to Blu-ray. And like Nintendo, Dan, has the exact same problem that Geekvolution does. I have always been about content before I've been about presentation, and that is Nintendo's problem. They need to be both.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the reason why PS4 and Xbox One are so ubiquitous is because they are machines that... I mean, this was Microsoft's strategy. I don't think they pitched it right, and some of the features were off when they sold the Xbox One. But the clear strategy was, this is your all-in-one media device where you can play Netflix.
That's right.
You can play Blu-rays. The new Xbox One S, one of the big touted features is that it also doubles as a 4K Blu-ray player, and it's one of the cheapest ones on the market, and that's why it's selling really well. I think these machines to keep the console market vibrant. I mean, this is even going back to like the PS2 days.
Yeah.
To keep that market alive, they have become more than just gaming devices.
That's right.
And in an age where we have smart devices, which have so clearly decimated the handheld market in such a way because they are all-in-one devices, just like the all-in-one media devices that consoles have become, I think that it's a very risky idea to do something that is just a gaming device.
It is. Yeah. No, I'm with you. But I'll throw this argument at you. If it was still just a gaming device, and I'm with you, it should be more than that. Because of the slimness of it and stuff, it was never going to have Blu-ray in it. There's like it should. I don't know that they ever could have found a way to fit that in. But beyond all of that, if it was two arguments. First of all, if it was just a gaming system, and so for the people who buy these things primarily for video games and they're not actually thinking about any of that other stuff, if it had most of all the other third-party stuff, there would be people that would say, I can only afford one system and I gotta have my Mario. That's the first thing. Second of all, the Wii was, if I'm right, and I think it was for like 5.5 seconds, but the Wii was the first video game system you could watch Netflix on. And so, like, they were already doing that. They were already thinking that way.
I don't know if that's true. I'm not sure. I think the PS3 and the Xbox 360 had Netflix at the same time, or I'm not.
It was
not
real.
Exactly sure.
If it was after, it was real soon after. But all I'm saying is they were not playing catch up on that. They already had that.
I'm sure the Switch will have access to all of those apps.
And that's my thing even without Blu-ray, as long as the Switch can play YouTube and play Netflix and basically serve as a Roku box. If it had all the third-party stuff, it would be competing in that market. It wouldn't be doing as well as the other two, but it could compete in that market, and they should have tried to do that. That's all I'm saying.
Right. And what I'm saying too is if they had specs that were compatible with this and had the portable gimmick as well, it would be much more expensive. And for the base model, I mean. And this is we haven't even discussed the fact that PS4 Pro is already out, and Xbox Scorpio is coming out next year. And
what is that? I don't even know about that.
That they revealed it at E3. They're calling it the most powerful console that's ever been.
Oh, you did tell me about that That's right. It's
the big 4K gaming native 4K gaming machine Microsoft is making. Of course, they're touting it up as something that's like a generational jump, but all of the games, it's sort of like. Microsoft is turning their console business into something similar to the PC business, where you can buy the Xbox One S, which is like a base model. It's a system that will run the games, but they won't be at the highest graphical fidelity that they could be. If you buy the Xbox Scorpio, that's going to run games that look like a generation ahead, but you have to have a 4K TV for it to work. It's going to be much more expensive. It's like premium, top shelf kind of item. So they have something that's like a base model for people that are a little bit more casual Xbox gamers, and then the people that are like the ones that want the highest graphical fidelity possible. And eventually, what will happen is there will be games that are exclusive to the Scorpio because it has, of course, faster specs, more memory and stuff. But they're saying that they're going to phase. They're not saying this, but I would imagine within a couple of years after the Scorpio coming out, that's going to be their base model system, and then they'll release some upgrades after that, sort of like cell phones do, where you have. All of the apps on your iPhone are compatible going back, but eventually, like if you have like a iPhone 4, there are eventually apps that are going to come out that you can't run because the specs aren't good enough. You know what I mean? That's kind of what the idea is. And Nintendo is already releasing a system that is behind the systems that are going to be outdated in a year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and let me suggest this: they could have kind of done that. They could have put out a cheaper version, like they could have this, but it's with current specs and it's $400 or $500, and then they could have had a version you could buy that's cheaper that's not portable.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know. I think that as a business model might confuse people too. Like if you're showing off like all of the perks of the system, and then there's one version that doesn't have the main gimmick for buying it in the first place. I don't know if that's I wouldn't know if that's like a
Maybe so, Dan. Maybe so, Dan. But the point I'm making is that the main gimmick for this system should have been we're finally caught up, right? Like if it's my point is if it's between that and portable, get rid of the portable.
Yes, and I don't want to put too much emphasis on the specs either because ultimately it's down to content, right? Like the NES was less powerful than some of its other competitors on the market.
That's why their content over presentation argument has worked.
Yeah, the reason why the NES was so successful was because it had fantastic games that no one had ever seen before. Like it was great because it had the content, and I just worry that the gimmick for this is really cool, but they're not going to have the content, and that's really what we need.
They will eventually. They might hurt too much by the time they get there.
I don't know if even that's a given. Like,
really?
The Wii U, the course of its life cycle, like there's some great games on that system, but like compared to the Xbox One and PS4's library, like it's night and day. Like if you only have enough money to spend on one gaming console, there's no question which one you
Except
buy.
It depends on what kind of games you like to buy, which again is where we get into casual versus hardcore, because I look at
the case though, right? Like,
it is to me. It is to me. I mean, like
to you though, but I'm talking about the types of games, right? So like Mario is a platforming game. One of the games that won Game of the Year last year was that Ratchet and Clank game that came out on PS4. It's a platformer. You can play platformers there that are up to the quality of.
That's true.
Nintendo.
And to be fair, they've got all kinds of third-party indie games that you can download all day long on those other systems that are not available on Wii U. No, you're right about that.
And if you want to play adventure games like Zelda, there are many other games that do that kind of thing. It's just for the branding and the characters and the franchises that I think me and you, I'm with you. Like I don't imagine my gaming experience without Zelda and Mario. Like they are the reason why I love video games in the first place. Like I want to play those games, but like for a lot of people that don't have that nostalgic connection for them, they can get those similar enough experiences that are really great quality other places now. Which is unfortunate, but. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and it's been difficult with me with Wii U not to just look at ratio, because ratio of crappy games to good games with the Wii was like 4-1, but ratio with the Wii U of good games to crappy games is backwards. It's about 4-1. There aren't very many really bad games on that system, but there also aren't very many games on that system.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm with you. Like, I felt like my purchase of the Wii was worth it because of all the hours I spent playing Mario Kart Smash. All of the games that I love playing on my Wii U. I don't regret the purchase in any way, but it's just like, when you think about it on a macro level, like, what kind of product is going to appeal to the largest amount of people? I don't know if this is the right product for that. It remains to be seen. I think it's very telling that, like, we talked about this earlier, like, in terms of, like, replacing my Xbox. I already know that I'm not going to be able to replace my Xbox One with this, because my most anticipated game of 2017, besides Zelda, is Mass Effect Andromeda. That game's going to be huge. It's going to win Game of the Year awards. If it looks, BioWare is one of the best developers in the industry. I have the utmost confidence that game is going to be fantastic. I don't foresee it being bad. That game's going to be massive, and they already announced it's not going to be on the Switch, and it's launching the same month. As the Switch.
And it should be, but they didn't have the specs up the spec. Man, if I had been them, I would have waited out the Wii U until Christmas. If that Mario game is going to be done by then, all they had to do, honestly, they could have the exact library they have now. You just wait and put the Mario game bundled with that system. That's all you have to do. People won't even care about the gimmick. They will buy that because it's been so long since we've had a big, massive, immersive 3D Mario game. Galaxy 2 is a masterpiece. If it is anywhere in the ballpark of Galaxy 2, you're done. You will sell a ridiculous amount of consoles. That's all they had to do. And they could have, again, the exact library they're going to launch with and that they're going to have by the summer. And they would sell several times more than they're going to, I think, probably.
I think what would have been very smart of them to do, and I agree with you, I think Galaxy 1 and 2 are both masterpieces and two of the best games of that generation of consoles, hands down. I think there are very few games that can compete with the caliber of gameplay that those games have. They are incredible, masterpieces of game design. I think what would have been very smart of them to do was to put out the regular Switch bundle, that's a baseline, really cheap model. Maybe make it like $250 or something like that, and then do two $300 bundles when they launch. One that is Mario, a special edition Mario that's like red and has like Mario branding on it that comes with the Mario game, and a Zelda version of that as well. I think those would have sold really well.
And it should have had
like
the cap. It should have had that. It should have had the hat with eyes that like follow you creepily on your system, and then everyone would take it back to the store and be like, this is freaking out my daughter at night. It's in her bedroom. We can't have this system in our house. That's what it should be.
For me as a Nintendo fan, I would have been looking at those two bundles and been like, wow, like, I mean, it would have competed in my mind for a second. I would have ultimately, admittedly, bought the Zelda one, because between Mario and Zelda, I love Zelda more, but I also really like Mario, and like, those both would be really cool to me. I think they need to lean more into the IP of the characters that they have, and they're doing this in other media, like with the theme park thing they're doing with Universal. There are talks of the Super Mario movie in development. I think,
and they're putting out arcade machines again, like I said.
They're sitting on a gold mine of IP, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just really unfortunate, the software lineup. Like, I was expecting them to come out and be like, all right, for launch we have Zelda and something else, like maybe a Metroid game. We haven't seen a Metroid game in years. We had like maybe a Donkey Kong game, like something else, man. Like something else besides Zelda.
Do a sequel to Donkey Kong 64. Step that up. Do like a 3D Donkey Kong game.
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome.
Something like that.
I love that.
When you were talking about Retro Studios, when you were like, we don't know what they're working on. They're doing something. We don't know what they're working on. I was imagining Metroid versus Donkey Kong. That's what they're making.
That would be awesome.
They're making Metroid versus Donkey Kong, Dan.
So,
tell your friends.
Now that we're on the topic of Donkey Kong, actually, one of the things that I found to be really intriguing about that Mario trailer was, did you notice that city that he's in at the beginning is all Donkey Kong themed? At
the beginning?
Yeah, all the streets are named after Donkey Kong characters. There's Dixie Street.
I didn't see that! Oh, that's awesome!
There's a sign for like a Diddy store. The city is called New Donk City. So it looks like Mario is like crossing over with some of the other franchises in his Odyssey that he goes around the globe, which is cool.
Yeah, that's the idea behind it. They acted like there were supposed to be real places in it, and I thought they were talking about that city, so I didn't even think to look at the signs and stuff. Now that we're talking about that game, that looks potentially genius. And I like the idea of getting out of the Mushroom Kingdom as long as there's still enough Mushroom Kingdom in it, and it looks like there is. You know what I don't like though? Just my immediate reaction to that trailer. Don't put regular people in with a cartoon looking Mario. I don't like that. Don't do that. We did it. I never liked it with Sonic. There's a lot of people like you're probably one of them that grew up, always saw Sonic that way. I don't like that. Now we've done it with Mario, and it makes less sense with Mario because he comes from a regular world, and then he goes into the Mushroom Kingdom. All of the people should look like Mario. I mean, unless the idea is it's like some totally other dimension and he wasn't, and I get that, but I don't like that. I don't like regular looking people with Mario as a cartoon character.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the game is as good as it looks, I ultimately really don't care. I think it is a little weird too, but like, I don't know.
It's not a deal breaker. I can complain about an element and still be excited, Dan.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That game, I'm just really excited about.
Yeah,
and
so am I. And Bowser looks amazing.
Yeah, he does. He looks fantastic. I like that we're adding new moves to Mario's repertoire. He has the spinning hat,
jump,
throw and jump on.
That's cool.
It's really cool. And it looks like they're bringing back the multiple different cap system from 64, because there's a store called Crazy Caps that he goes into in the trailer, and it looks like they sell different kinds of hats and stuff that will have different effects, like potentially the flying hat, the metal cap, whatever new caps they add in this game, which I think is really exciting.
They're adding Mario 2 stuff. We haven't seen a whole lot of that much. He had a turnip that he threw. I thought that was kind of cool.
And they did confirm that this is going to have a massive open hub world, just like 64's Peach's Castle, and like outside of there where you go into the levels and stuff, and that's explorable.
I bet it's way more massive. That's exciting. I've been wanting open world Mario forever. I still say do a straight up totally open world Mario, but that's a good step. That's a good step, Dan.
I think, like the Zelda game being the culmination of all of the great design elements from the past games, I think the Mario game looks like that for Mario, which really excites me. I mean, really, the two things that have, I mean, bringing this back to Switch, the two things that really excite me about the system are those two things. And, yeah, I ultimately can't wait to play them. I'm going to buy a Switch. I don't know when I'm going to buy one. Like, if they're available at holiday, I will probably buy one because I really want to play Mario. The game looks so good. Yeah. And what do you feel right now about when you're going to buy a Switch? You're going to wait for a price drop? Are you that eager to play the new Mario game that you'll buy it when it launches? Well, what are you thinking at the moment?
I'm of two minds about it, because I'm concerned if I don't get it at launch, I won't be able to get it at Christmas. Mm-hmm. When the Mario game drops. I'm a little concerned about that. There's a part of me that wants to just like save up now and go ahead and pre-order one and get one as soon as it comes out. I don't like that because I'm not going to hardly touch it until Mario comes out. Like, there's nothing else I want to...
Because to be clear...
There's not much else I want to play.
Right, and for people that don't know, you're not a Zelda guy at all, so that's not something that appeals to you. Like, you're not excited about playing that.
I'm not going to buy that.
There's literally nothing for you to play at launch.
Yeah.
Really, right?
Like, nothing against Zelda fans, I'm just... I just don't like those games. I don't care.
Game person. That's not you. You're a platforming guy.
Yeah, I'm more of a platforming guy. I might if I get it. The one thing I'll definitely get is Splatoon 2, only because I didn't bother getting I haven't yet bought the first one. I want to get that. But that at least would give me something to play.
I think you and Jason would really have a good time playing that game together.
I played it a little. It's fun. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's cool.
But like I said, I don't have it right now, so that would be a thing to get it for. So are you...
But even then, you're not desperate to play Splatoon 2 at the same time, right? Like, that's not something you really need.
No, for me, it's just buying strategy.
That I would get if I have the system, right?
No, it's just strategy. It's just a matter of... I don't want that Mario game to come out and I can't play it day one. Because, with Mario, I got to have it day one. I bought Mario Maker the day it came out, and I locked myself in a room, and that's all I did for about 48 hours. Yeah. I've been playing a lot of that again lately. That is just the most fun thing.
Great.
Can I tell this story real quick? I was an idiot. I went out and I bought the one for the 3DS without looking at the specifications. And
the one on 3DS garbage.
And I told Eric, I was like, look, I got this, and he was like, why? Because I guess he had heard about it. He was like, you already had that game. I was like, yeah, but I'm sure they added things to it. He's like, no, and they trimmed it down, and it's and you can't hardly download levels. And I was like, oh, so I took it back to the store, and I hadn't played that game in probably 3 months. The next week and a half, all I did was play, or I played a lot with my son of Mario Maker. So that game coming out and my taking it back to the store got me to start playing it again, and it felt like I brought a brand new video game. Dan, it was hilarious.
So Mario Maker's fantastic. They made a level build really fun to actually build the levels and play, which is
so simple.
A thing that I haven't seen a lot of people do successfully. It's really great.
Yeah. My average time building levels is 11 minutes. That's insane. Like, it's crazy. Wow. It's crazy that you can make things that fast.
Yeah, and I would imagine that a port of Mario Maker will probably come to the Switch.
They have to. It's too popular.
Version, because stranding that game on the Wii U, as far as a console version, would be a travesty.
Oh, it's a real that would be awful. What I would hope would be that they would do a deluxe thing like Mario Kart, where they add quite a few more things that you can put in your levels.
I would imagine so. Let's talk a little bit about the Mario Kart thing, because I think you had some qualms with their strategy with some of the ports they're doing. So for people that don't know, the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe package that is going to come out with Switch, we don't know the exact release date. They've given a release window. Again, I think it's very odd that Mario Kart, a port of the game they made for Wii U, isn't ready for launch. I think that would have been a seller for a lot of people too, which again demonstrates to me that, like, if the ports of the old games aren't ready, that's really strange.
That doesn't bode well.
And they shouldn't have put out at this time. But anyway, so like the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe package includes the real battle mode with the balloons and the arenas and stuff.
Oh, thank God!
One of the things Mario Kart 8 is my favorite Mario Kart game, but the one thing I didn't like about it is that the battle mode was garbage. The battle, they added the real battle mode, which is cool. They are including King Boo and Bowser Jr. as far as Mario characters new wise, and they're also adding courses based on Splatoon and the two Splatoon boy and girl characters. I don't know their names off the top of my head, but they're adding Splatoon things into Mario Kart in the same way that they added Link and the people from Animal Crossing and tracks for those people. So that's pretty cool, I think.
I think Pac-Man, maybe not Pac-Man. I forget.
No, they didn't have Pac-Man. He's in the.
I know he's in the arcade.
The arcade.
Okay, I thought he might be there too, but I couldn't. But I wasn't sure. They should do a Sonic one.
He's in Smash Brothers.
Right. They really should do Sonic.
That would be cool. Yeah, that
tracks.
would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would love. That would be like the ultimate cool thing for them to do. I do actually really like the this is kind of off topic, but I really do actually like the kart racing series that Sega's been doing with Sonic lately. Those two games are really great. The All Stars racing game.
Yeah, I haven't tried them yet. I keep meaning to do that, but I think it would be really fun if in Mario Kart they just try to be really realistic about it. So Sonic is finally not in a car, and if you play as him, you always win unless you go backwards. I would love that. No one gets to play as Sonic. You can't do that.
So one of the things when you were talking to me, you were kind of upset about was the fact that they're probably not going to make this content downloadable for the people that already bought it on the Wii U.
Yeah, they need to do one of two things. One of three things. A, that game needs to be double the size if you're going to charge the same for it, I think. Because most of the people that are going to want that game have 8. I'm sorry, but the majority of people that play Mario Kart keep going with Mario Kart. People buy systems just for Mario Kart. So the majority of people that are going to want that, it's going to be just a slight upgrade, and they're going to have to pay full price for it. If that game turns out to be half the price, that's more okay with me, but it needs to either be, that content should be downloadable on Wii U so that you don't have to buy a Switch if you don't want to. I'm going back a little bit on what I said to you the other day, Dan, because now I think the Switch looks cooler than I did before. So and I would have probably ended up having to get one anyway, but like, I'm gonna get a Switch, so it's okay. I'd probably rather play it on that system anyway, because again, it'd be cool if you ever did want to take it with you and stuff, I guess. But yeah, I don't think it's quite fair to charge full price for a thing you put out already if the majority of people that are going to buy it are probably playing already. That's my thing.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree that all of the people that want to play Mario Kart have already bought 8, because I mean, this is anecdotal, of course, but I talk to people all the time that are really upset that they can't get Mario Kart on the systems they already own, like if they own a PS4 and Xbox One, because they have fond memories of playing Mario Kart 64, Double Dash, and like the systems they had when they were a kid, and they just don't have Wii U's because it doesn't have all the other games that they want to play on it. So
they're going to have the same problem, though. Hey,
potentially.
What's going to get them to buy a Switch, though?
It depends on how the Switch goes. I'm with you. I think it's likely that the Switch will go the same way as the Wii U, but I'm saying from Nintendo's strategy as a business, right? Like, they want to have a Mario Kart game that will have people buy the system like within the first year of the launch window, because that will be attractive to people potentially that don't own a Wii U.
Okay.
I think that's Nintendo's thing.
Then let me give you my third thing, which is bundle it with the system then.
No, I agree with you. I think they should bundle any of the games we've talked about with the system.
Do you realize that is, and maybe they do it with another game, that's the game they bundle with the 3DS?
Yeah.
Mario Kart 7.
They did do.
And and also it costs them nothing because they're not even putting a cartridge in. That's just
digital download.
Yeah, or preloaded. I forget.
It is costing them in the revenue they would get from someone that would buy a copy of it otherwise. But I'm with you.
No, it's true.
There's also a Mario Kart 8 Wii U bundle, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So they've packed in Mario Kart 8 with the Wii U and tried to sell it that way.
Yeah, but they're probably charging more. Like it should be free with the system if they're going to do that.
I know. I agree.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't complain about it. If you had told me, because I didn't actually know what the additional content was, if you told me it was like double the tracks or like time again the tracks, then okay. But if they're only adding a couple of tracks, no, I don't like that.
We don't know exactly what like, because I would imagine, like, when they added the Zelda and Animal Crossing tracks, those were DLC packs, and they came with other tracks in the cups that they came with. I would imagine the Splatoon tracks are going to come with additional, like, cups that they go with, or like one additional cup or something.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
yeah,
I don't know
sure.
how many. They haven't given details on how many extra tracks they're adding. I'm just saying. I'm not sure what the exact details are. We just know, I think at this point, based on what we saw in the trailer, what's being added and stuff.
But I also just hate buying a game twice.
Yeah, you know, I'm with you. And we I don't know if there's any details on what the Smash port, like, if that's going to add anything new. I had heard rumors that they were going to add new characters and stuff, but I'm not sure if that's happening now or not. They didn't really say much about it.
Real quick at the end here, I want to go back to a point you made earlier about portable gaming and about how that's a dying market. What they're thinking is, yeah, but what you can do on your cell phone is significantly less than what you can do with a system, and it's not a...
Which is a fair point.
Yeah, and it's not a portable system, it's a console you can take with you that serves as basically its own TV screen. That is cool. That is something we've never done before. I just don't know strategy-wise if that's enough if you're not going to have enough third-party support. That's it. I am way more impressed with it than I thought I would be. I didn't realize it did that. I didn't know that you could set it up and play with controllers remotely apart from it, and you didn't have to have them connected to the side of it. Once I found that out, I was like, no, this is a cool thing. And it's not just it's not.
It's very impressive.
I mean, it's a gimmick in the traditional sense of the word, but it's not an obnoxious one. That is innovative. That's really cool. And they are getting ahead on that. That's cool. But I don't think it's enough necessarily.
And I think it's clearly innovative. It's viewed as innovative, I think, from a lot of, or at least one gaming studio that I really respect and love their games. Like, I think it's a big deal that Nintendo got Todd Howard to make a video for them and come out and be like, I'm excited about the Switch. Bethesda Game Studios is excited about the Switch. We're putting Skyrim on it. Granted, Skyrim's a 6-year-old game. They're not getting the same version that is on PS4 and Xbox One currently, but, like, getting Bethesda is a pretty big deal. Like, they are one of the biggest the developers in the industry, and they're becoming one of the bigger publishers in the industry, too. They've gotten into publishing recently, and all the games they publish are phenomenal and are always in contender for Game of the Year and stuff, even if they're not developed by the core Bethesda Game Studios development team. So I think it's like the fact that they're excited about it makes me even more excited about it than I would be. I'm just
hopefully they make something from scratch for it at some point.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a thing that Bethesda's been trying to do for a while. Like, they tried to make a portable Elder Scrolls game for, like, the PSP, but it got canceled because their vision for it was a little too ambitious for what they were able to accomplish with that technology. So, I mean, I would be very excited if they did, like, in the future, like an Elder Scrolls or Fallout spin-off game that's, like, not available on the other systems. Like, that would sell Switches if there's games like that on it, where it's, like, a spin-off entry in a series that everyone loves, specifically built for the ground up for this, and its portable features, you know what I mean? That would be those are the kind of games that this system needs if it's not going to get games like Mass Effect Andromeda or whatever big third-party releases like Battlefield 1 or the new Battlefront game, whatever. Because even like the version of FIFA that they're getting, it's not like FIFA 2017. It's FIFA for Switch. Like when the EA guy came up, it's not the same version that's going to be on PS4 and Xbox One. It's a downgraded, downgrade isn't the word. It's a different version, I suppose.
Yeah, they're still selling it as alternative gameplay, just like they did the Wii.
Exactly right. So I think if developers come on board and develop games for it with that in mind, in the same way that they develop a game for like the 3DS, where like this is a different machine and we need to build games that. This is a viable platform. It's just a different strategy and a different vision for how people play games than the other people have. I think it'll be very successful. If it ends up the way of the Wii U, where it's just kind of a system that tries to compete with the other ones and tries to have the same library, but it just doesn't get the same amount of support, I think it will fail. So, yeah. I mean, I can see a path for success and a path for failure here. I really hope they go on the path to success because. I mean, I'm going to buy one, and I really want to spend some great time with it.
It really could end up just being the Wii U all over again. It has like, it had such potential to make a giant splash that I don't think it's going to make. Like, even if it does really well, I think it could have been much bigger. Like, this is the literary analysis guy in me, Dan, but I feel like, but I think it's kind of sad that with the title of it, that with the name of the thing, the Switch, it's not a thing that you can replace your other systems with. Like, that would have been crazy, right? They put out a thing called the Switch, and you can switch over from your Xbox to it. It's like,
and that was a rumor.
I wish they had that.
Yeah, and that was a rumor for a long time that the Switch would be compatible with the PS4 and the Xbox One, and that you could play, like, you would somehow connect it to those systems, and it was like a proprietary, just portable thing.
I don't.
A rumor for a long time.
I don't know how they legally could have begun to do that.
And I would imagine if that rumor had any weight at all, it was in the very early stages, and Microsoft and Sony said no.
Yeah.
I would imagine that's what happened, because, like, imagine a world where you could play, I don't know, like God of War and Halo on a portable Nintendo system. Like, that is a crazy world.
I could have seen Nintendo pitching that to them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You know, because it still sells games for them and stuff, and they're all sharing revenue. But that would create a partner system unlike you've ever seen. I couldn't have seen those competitors doing that.
And how ironic would it be, given the history between Sony and Nintendo, where the PlayStation came about because of a failed partnership between Nintendo and Sony? Imagine if Nintendo made a partnership with Sony in that way.
Again?
That would be crazy, crazy world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we'll have to get a couple generations down the line where everybody that was ever involved in any of that is dead before such a thing is possible.
And you know, if which I hope doesn't happen, if the Switch fails, I really hope that Nintendo is able to retain enough money to be a third-party software developer and continue to make really fantastic games. And
I don't think it'll fail. And now that I've seen it in action, if it does, the poorest it can do is limp along. Like I say, it could be the Wii U all over again. And I know that they've got revenues to earn back from the failure of the Wii U, but Nintendo is like Tony Stark. Their poor is not our poor. Like they're like what they see as acceptable losses is like way more conservative than what ours would be. You know what I mean? So I don't know how hard they're hurting versus just where they want to be.
I mean, lifetime sales of the Wii U are really, really bad. It's selling, like, it's one of the worst selling video game systems of all time at this point. So I mean, of a major company, I'm not talking about like the Atari Jaguar or I get that. About, like, compared to like all of the systems that have been released by most of the major players in the market, like I want to look at the numbers now, but I think this thing is not even selling as well as like what the Dreamcast sold lifetime at this point.
Wow.
Which is really poor. Yeah. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong about it. I did hear that. I think I heard someone say that. I don't know for sure, but it's selling in a comparative way to the failed Sega systems at this point. Like, this is how bad we're at.
But it's not the only thing they're making. So I don't know how much of that they haven't already recouped in some handheld stuff and in their phone sales and stuff like that. Hasn't
at this point made like the Sega Nomad of portables and tanked in that way.
Yeah, and again, like you said, they've got IPs that are giant cash cows, so they have merchandising that Sega did not have, and things like that. Like, what they're worth right now is gotta be several times, maybe dozens of times more than what Sega was worth when they lost the Dreamcast.
And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I want to look at the numbers, but I heard initially right after the Switch presentation, Nintendo's stock dropped pretty substantially.
Did it really?
So
wow.
It seems like investors don't have a lot of faith in this thing, which isn't a good sign either.
No.
But like anything, the stock market is very the stock market is a reflection of human behavior, which is very volatile in the first place, right?
Sure.
So this thing could bounce back and be really successful. I mean, but it's not all doom and gloom just because the stock of the company dropped a little bit right after the reveal. I think that's just that's just reflective of the way we feel about the software lineup, I think, and people thinking that it might go the way of the Wii U because the Wii U had the same sort of projection, third-party support-wise, when it launched. But it remains to be seen. We will see.
Well, and again, also because they don't have the same market there that they had 10 years ago with the Wii. Like a lot of those people who had never played video games before that wanted to get into casual gaming, because there was all kinds of stuff there that you could easily pick up and play, and that was kind of fun party stuff. They've all gone somewhere else now, so like you can't count on them, and it looks like they might still be trying to count too much on them. Can I pitch you my crazy idea of what I think Nintendo should do?
Sure.
I think, besides what I've said 100 times in this video already, which is this should have been a thing that could compete with the other systems. What I think they should do is I think they should make a phone.
Yeah.
I do. I think Nintendo should make their own phone.
That would be... I've thought about this before, too, actually. It would be really interesting to see them try to enter that market and be just kind of a portable gaming device and a phone at the same time. And, like, they wouldn't have to necessarily be, like, separate themselves from, like, the iOS and Android stores. They could maybe partner with one of them and have access to all of the apps that, like, the Google Play Store has, but in the same way that, like, you know, Samsung makes phones for the Android operating system. Nintendo could do that too. That'd be really interesting.
You make it like the Switch, and actually, I think it would be really smart of them to do this 2 or 3 years from now and just build on Switch, especially if Switch is successful. One of the things people complain about all the time with phone gaming is there are emulators on phones now where you can play a lot of old cartridge games, right?
Yeah,
so
I played some of the old Pokemon games on my
iPhone.
With
and we don't have a phone controller yet. So Nintendo should just make a phone that you can adapt a controller on the side to, and you're done.
Yeah.
Why don't they do that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd buy that.
Of course you would. Of course you. All kinds of people would buy that. That's what they should do, and they should make it all slick, and they should make it like. And they should have versions you can buy that have like Nintendo characters on them, and there should be like a green Yoshi phone and like a red Mario phone, and there should be a Tetris phone because that would be awesome. And
if they put out a gold Zelda phone, I would buy that day one, man. That'd be my favorite thing.
I don't know. I think that would be really smart. Anyway, anything else about this you wanted to mention before we call it a day?
Nothing other than I'm curious to see, like, the reaction seems to be very mixed from people. A lot of people, and it's like anything, it seems to be like there's two extreme camps where some people are really excited about it and some people are really pessimistic about it. I am cautiously optimistic in the sense that I really want it to succeed. I'm really excited about the 2 games they showed that are big first-party exclusives for it. I am going to buy one, but at the same time, I am worried about the long-term market viability of it. I don't necessarily believe in the strategy in the way that Nintendo seems to at this point, in the way some other people do, and I'd like to know what other people in the Geekvolution community think about it. Just to gauge, like, you know, what the average Joe thinks about it, like, that maybe doesn't read as much about this stuff that we. I know a lot of our viewers are knowledgeable people, but I think a lot of the same time there may be people in our audience that are in the kind of audience that Nintendo was targeting, that just want to play a few games a year. They don't buy like multiple like 10, 15 games a year like I do, or I don't know how many games you buy a year or whatever. That play video games a lot. So I would like to know. I'm very curious to gauge people's reactions and stuff.
Like I said, I'm a lot more positive on it than I was a couple days ago. Once I saw the thing in action, I turned around a little bit on the thing. I just don't know that the strategy is viable, as you say.
Exactly, and that's another thing I want to do. I think they said they're going to make this thing demo playable at like select stores across America. I would like if they did the same sort of thing they did with like Smash Bros. And stuff on the Wii U, where they had the game playable at all the Best Buys around the country. I would like them to partner with a retailer so people can get their hands on this thing and really experience what it's like. You know, because I think with a lot of the systems Nintendo's been building recently, you really need to get your hands on it to understand what the vision for how how the system plays and how they want you to experience video games in a different way. Like the Wii, you see, like when you saw commercials for that, it was relatively easy to sell like what the motion stuff was, but it really connected with people when they got their hands on it. You know, like I think the Wii, the best marketing for it was like the one person that had it. Somebody went over to the house, they played Wii Sports for the first time. They're like, man, I really need to buy one of these, and it's
word
really
of mouth,
cheap.
like just about anything. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they demo it, because it's a thing that you can pick up out of a dock and walk away with. And obviously with handheld things, like we always, have those attached to something so you couldn't make off with it, but they're going to want you to be able to play it set up also. So you'd almost have to have two of them at every place, right? Like one hooked up to a TV and one not.
Yeah, and you'd obviously need to employ someone to like keep an eye on people too. So they like don't break it or whatever. I don't know how brittle or fragile the system is, like in terms of like if you drop it, it'll like shatter or whatever. But that remains to be seen. We shall see.
Well, everybody, thanks always for watching. We sure appreciate it, and we will see you again later this week with more videos here on Geekvolution. Dan, thank you very much for your thorough analysis on what we know so far about the Nintendo Switch.
No problem. I like talking about this stuff because Nintendo means a lot to me. I really like them. They're my favorite game company. So
me too.
Whenever they put any news out about anything, I'm very passionate about it, and I want to hear what other people think too. So.
Yeah, I'm critical about this because I'm a little worried for them, and like it seems like seems like the right strategy is a no-brainer that they're not going with, and I'm like, I hope this works. And I'm glad that I can say I hope this works, and I actually like what they're doing. I just don't think it's smart necessarily.
Exactly, yeah, which is a weird feeling to have. Right?
Isn't that weird?
Strange.
Yeah.
It's a uniquely Nintendo feeling, right? Like
absolutely.
Anytime Nintendo makes a decision, you're like, I feel strange about this.
Again, because I love the Wii U, and no one I know has one.
Except for
you. No one I know locally has one. Yeah, you mean even like online, with all your online buddies, you don't know anybody that's got one.
Yeah, it's strange.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Sure appreciate it. I am Captain Logan.
I'm Dan.
We'll see you later, folks. Thanks.